Thank you for being here. Oh, are we on?
Do it again, Sherry. Do it again. Yours is not.
Okay, okay. Thank you for being here this evening. I would like to call this Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 school board meeting to order at 6 o'clock. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deb, if you could establish quorum, please.
We, as of right now, have 4 board members available. Are our mics on? Can you hear me? There we go. Okay, so we have 4 board members all logged into board docs. And are all mics on all the way down?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good.
All right. Can I get a motion to set the agenda, please?
I'll move to set the agenda. I second.
Madam President, excuse me.
We're all over the place.
I'd like to remove an item from the consent calendar. I'd like to remove the monthly employment list and put it as action item K.
Okay. Actually, we can print out those.
Can we just add that to the motion? Can we just add that to the motion? Like, okay. Sorry, I wasn't actually talking. What was the item number?
I believe it's
Action
Okay.
item K.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, we'll move on to oath of office for District A, Tiffany Cheney. Deb, if you can.
That I will faithfully perform the duties of the office
And I would like to also mention that District A will be on the ballot, and anyone living in District A, if you're interested in running, you can pick up a petition from Deb. It just needs to be turned in by the 29th. And Tiffany, this will also pertain to you as well. Okay, moving on to reports, celebration reports. Well, I know I read a really amazing one in some of our other reports, and I don't know if I even need to say anything yet, or wait, but our middle school band. So I think it's in somebody else's report, so I'll leave that, but super exciting.
Do you want to do that in the reports, Mike? Did you want to do that in the celebrations? Okay.
President Noyes,
Yes.
Andrew Campo's here. We could talk about that now if you're ready.
Okay. Well, I just knew it was in somebody's report, so.
Yeah, come on up, Andrew. Tell us about the cool news.
Oh, it's amazing. It's always cool. Again.
Very briefly, we were contacted about a year ago by the Mr. Collins Opus Foundation, which we've had an association with for 16, 17 years. They used to be the ones that ran the Colorado Public Radio Instrument Drive. And so they contacted me and said, we've had a good relationship with you in the past. We're curious if you'd be interested in being one of the first 100 schools in America to be in our inaugural Adopt a School program, which would basically be a funds drive to buy new instruments for these 100 schools in America. And of course, I checked with Mr. Pearson and said, yeah, great. This foundation is kind of Eddie Van Halen was from the band Van Halen was very into music education. His son Wolfgang took the mantle from him and was kind of the celebrity spokesperson for Mr. Holland's Opus Adopt a School Foundation, and he got a lot of his celebrity friends to put out social media about it. So we worked with them to create a page on their website, our story, quotes, a little bit of our history, some pictures, and then people from all over the world could read our story and donate to our group if they wanted to. And long story short, we got our funds completely met as of a couple weeks ago. We had the last bet was an anonymous $15,000 donation somebody made. And so they contacted me, said, congratulations, you've been fully funded. And so I had given them a wish list back in the day, said if somebody gave you $40,000, what would you buy? And so they are now buying for us that wish list. I think they have some sort of relationship with these different music vendors, so they're either getting instruments at cost or lower than cost, because we're getting $40,000 worth of new instruments, including a new baritone saxophone and a new tuba, which are extraordinarily expensive. So extremely excited about that. And as far as, and I know the board might be concerned about strings attached, it's just kind of the normal boilerplate things when you accept a donation. I'm going to need to put those instruments and their serial numbers in the database. We'll get them district tagged, and then probably down the line they'll want some sort of statement from me about how this has impacted the lives of our students, maybe stories, anecdotes from the students, even pictures, just to talk about, promote the efficacy of the program, so that now that they can go beyond these first 100 schools in the United States. So pretty cool that somebody read our story and said, hey, I'd like to give $15,000 to that. And there were other donations too. That was just the big one that surprised me the first week of preschool. So if anybody has any questions.
No, that's
great.
that was exciting to read that. Yep.
I'd just like to know and celebrate that this is a great addition, because every year Mr. Campbell's band continues to grow. At the beginning of the year, his course load for his students was about 265 students out of a school of 530. The kids that are enrolled in band, and so I think it's an incredible feat that he's done to build a program that has that much of a cost. So thank you.
Yes. Do we have any other celebrations as Mike went to?
Let's do it under another place.
Okay. Any other celebration reports?
I'm going to read this percentage.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
So the district received this document from the Pleasant View Charter School. Resolution of appreciation and recognition. Maybe somebody else should read it. Whereas the Board of Directors from Pleasant View Charter School has been fortunate to have affiliation and relationships. Somebody else needs to read this.
Okay. With the Montezuma-Cortez Board of Education, the leadership of Superintendent Tom Burris and his committed staff. Whereas members of Pleasant View Charter School staff are financially benefiting from the work undertaken by the RE-1 Board of Education, the superintendent, and the voters of Montezuma County regarding the passage of the mill levy override. Whereas Pleasant View Charter School Board of Directors wish to extend our sincere appreciation for the willingness and expertise of the RE-1 Board, RE-1 Director Danielle Bradford, Director Justin Schmidt, Director Brad Eldridge, Associate Superintendent Eddie Ramirez, and Superintendent Tom Burris. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pleasant View Charter School Board of Directors recognize, appreciate, and thank the officers and members of the Montezuma-Cortez Board of Education, the Superintendent of the Schools, and his staff for the timely help offered and accepted. Adopted this 12th day of August by the Pleasant View Board of Directors, Tammy Hampton, Shayla Oliver, Phil Casper, Melanie Fallner, and Rena Surzanne. Thank you.
So
That's awesome.
I apologize for not reading that, but I was going to get choked up, so.
We just don't hear enough nice words.
Well, I'm understanding the first week of school kind of went off fairly well. So I think that's a celebration, you know, that might need to acknowledge. Thank you all for being a part of that. Any others? Okay. We will move on to reports B, Superintendent's report. It's in your packet.
The first day of school in my career, this was probably the smoothest. I mean, it's not smooth. It is the first day, but we had some issues at the high school with schedules and other things, but by and large, it was a really good first day. I do want to thank Dr. Ann Kiki for coming down and facilitated a conversation about potential new board members. I thought that she was very powerful and that she had her ideas in line. She is the Aurora Public Schools president of the board. I just wanted to report to the board that our BOCES application for removal from BOCES to form our own AU was submitted timely, and now we wait till the middle of September to see if there are any things that we need to add to that application. Dr. Christian Northrup has data. I will have data at the next board meeting. This is just a little sample of it so far. And what I want to do is I will make copies for all the board members so that you have a copy of the data. The data does include down to the teacher level achievement in each teacher's classroom. I will then take a copy of this and redact all the teacher names and in some cases the school names, and we will have a conversation around the data, and I'll try to make it as quick as possible, but again, this is why we're here. Here's our scores and here's what they mean. We have had a short meeting with Dr. Romero on strategic planning that has moved that forward. I had an interesting meeting with, and have another meeting with PCC, the head of PCC and the two superintendents of our area. We are talking about sharing classes. We are talking about the possibility of doing basically a Zoom class, live Zoom class, at one site and having kids at other sites. All three of us are getting small enough that that's going to become a reality sooner than later. Speaking of that as a reality, I've got the numbers for the schools. Beach Street, 64. This is as of today. Kiva, 130. Kemper, 345. Lewis, 115. Mesa, 296. When we closed Manaw, both Mesa and Kemper were over 400. So Kemper is 345, Mesa is 296. This goes right along with the declining trend of our students in the county. This goes way back. When I was here before, there were over 3,000 students in the school district, and now there's 1,940. MCHS, 590. MCMS, 530. Pleasant View is 39, and SWOS is 107. That's all I have, Madam President.
Does anybody have any comments, questions for Mr. Burris?
Yeah, I had a couple here. And actually, that was one of my questions, those student numbers, so that one's already done. The PCC situation,
Yes.
my one concern about that from teachers that have done this in the past and tried to do like Zoom classes for other schools, the host class, I think, takes a real beating on that, because the teacher's trying to do be on camera, to do a class on camera, and it's hard to run their own classroom when they're doing that, so just to have that in mind.
That was
I don't
part
want
of
to
our
see
discussion, certainly.
our kids sacrifice for that. Not that I don't like Mancos and Dove Creek and Dolores and everything, but it's just I don't want to see that the classrooms here sacrificed because of that.
Agreed.
It's I don't know how to really explain it. It's just you're trying to be more like an actor and stuff on a TV, and it's hard to run your classroom when you're doing that at the same time.
True.
So
The
just
other
keep
piece of
in
that,
mind.
Mr. Rice, that was discussed is who does the homework grading. So those are things we're going to discuss. We have a Thursday morning meeting, the four of us, and we're going to bring those things up and see where we go. The problem is you just don't have a lot of teachers like the upper science classes, upper math classes. We're in an area with declining enrollment both in teachers and students.
If it would be a matter of like recording, like a science class or something, where our teacher's recording an hour-long lesson and then they do that later, but the ones that I've seen, they're actually doing a live, while those students are watching live, and that, to me, it just really sort of hurts the environment, the host environment to me.
Okay.
So,
Certainly take that into account.
and where are we at on the air conditioning?
Pardon me?
Where are we at on air conditioning?
Glad you asked. So the air conditioning as of today, I got an email from Jessica Allison, who is Michael, our attorney's assistant. Matthews Carrier has agreed to defend them against our lawsuit and has appointed an attorney to represent them. Unfortunately, the attorney just received the case file yesterday. So she left me a voicemail asking if we would agree to a week extension of time for Matthews to answer the complaint. This would push it to Friday, the 29th. Before I respond, I wanted to check with you. If we don't agree to the extension, which we will agree, I think, and she says, I think it would hurt our rapport with the attorney in moving this forward. So they're inclined to give them the extra week. What we did ask for is emergency fix to see if we could get some of the units going at Mesa, at Kemper. We have 7 units and 2 of those are operational. What Train wants to do is come in and pressure test the units, and if the pressure test reveals a significant leak, they're not going to fix it at all. But if the pressure test reveals a small leak, they're going to try to find the small leak, try to do the repairs. They've asked for a $10,000 not to exceed, and they're going to see how many of them they can get fixed. I also talked to Comfort Air. Comfort Air is over 30 days out, which 30 days out from now, we probably won't need air conditioning. But these guys, the trained people, will be here, Ray, next week, correct?
Scheduled for the 27th to the 29th.
Okay.
I know we're starting school earlier and earlier all the time. We're into the hotter part of the year every year now, and it's
Yes.
a long time to be putting up without air conditioning up there. So.
It certainly is. Right now, we do have swamp coolers over at Mesa, and we were told by the attorney to keep the receipts for all that equipment that we're buying to cool our classrooms the best we can, and that they will throw that into the lawsuit against Matthews.
And they're helping? The swamp coolers? Helping at least?
They are helping, and it's got a lot, it's job cut out for it to help.
Yeah.
So it definitely makes a difference.
Good.
Paulette,
Well, this has been a
with
long
you guys,
time on this
is
thing.
it helping?
Yes, it's making it a little more comfortable for teachers when that we've had parents and community members donate the small AC units for classrooms, and that has made those classrooms more comfortable for students and staff.
Right. Thank
Madam
you.
President? I have a suggestion. When I've watched videos of these board meetings, if somebody doesn't come to a microphone, you cannot hear a word that they are saying. I'm wondering if you would ask anyone who responds in the audience to come to the mic, please.
I will go ahead and reiterate that. If you are being spoken to or we need to hear you, if you would please approach the microphone. Thank you. Okay.
Also in your packet, you have a recommendation for appointment of the District Accountability Committee members. We are trying to get more representation from the schools rather than representation from one or two of the schools. And so there is a recommendation in your packet to do that. It aligns with the state statute 2211-301, and also aligns with the recommendations from CDE that they publish about the DAC. The DAC, one of the major functions, is the accountability of student achievement, and I think we need, with this much data and what it says, we need a lot of concern and consideration of the data. So you have a recommendation in your file to make that happen, where Kemper SAC, Mesa SAC, Lewis, the middle school, high school, Southwest Open will all have a member at the table.
Okay, we have, moving on to report C, Assistant Superintendent's Report. Mr. Ramirez.
Madam President, members of the board, I'll just mention that CDE and the U.S. Department of Education have released all of the various title grants. With that being said, in your packet, you have the 2024-25 spreadsheet on the federal grants. Just call to your attention for comparison that the award of grants was $3,042,487.79. The 23-24 carryover was $692,277.62, for a total revenue for the 24-25 school year of $3,734,765.41. At the end of the year, it shows a budget balance of $580,026.15, but keep in mind that some of those are state grants that no longer allow carryover. And so when you look at the 25-26 grant allocation spreadsheet, you'll see that roughly the award is $2,314,983.57, with a carryover of $487,835.98, which is almost close to $100,000 less of carryover, for a total revenue of $2,802,819.55, which is roughly about, putting myself on the line here with guesstimation mathematics, a little bit less of $354,000. So what I want to draw to the attention of the board is the shrinking grant amount that's occurring annually. And so as we feel that pressure on the grant side, it's also happening on the state side, and Mrs. Danielle will talk about that in her financial report, not specifically in that manner, but in general. And just so the board understands that, as well as the audience and the administrators, as we go forward, the fiscal amount is a shrinking amount. And then you heard the enrollment report from Mr. Burris earlier that we're down a little bit more on students as well. And so the PPR will affect our general operation as well. So very confident Ms. Bradford is on top of that. She monitors that on a day-to-day basis. She keeps us in check as an administrative team as we look at the revenue, and we try to foresee and forecast and make adjustments as needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Does anybody have any questions about his report? And again, I'd like to thank all of our directors for submitting your reports too. Those are
I had a couple of things here. In the nutrition report, Mr. Ramirez, it says that our nutrition services is stocking the concession stand for the football games. How does that?
What we're doing is trying to standardize the equipment that's inside the concession stand. And then we try to take advantage of the purchasing power through the food service with our general operation or activities money. And so we're just trying to be more efficient with that, offer a better product to the community, and also at a better cost.
So is the district actually selling that product to the concession stand then, or are we donating it to the concession stand?
No. It's being carried by the activity, the groups that work in that concession stand, and it's as offset of the equipment as well. The total is roughly a little bit under $6,000 for the equipment that was bought.
I actually had a couple of questions about that too. Is that just for the food, and does that include like the paper products too, like the?
It'll include everything, the
utensils?
paper
Okay.
products and the food.
Okay.
And that comes off the top right away, off the profit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to reports. Item D, Executive Director of Finance report. Ms. Bradford.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. I do have a change to my report tonight. I had initially intended to present on the UPK contracts for our 3-year-olds in the district area. We contract with several preschools just to allow for choice, and also to ensure that, we can extend the availability of care in a preschool to students beyond what Beach Street can manage. Unfortunately, there's been some question as to who is paying for paraprofessionals for students that have IEPs. So we're just trying to go through some of those details with our legal counsel and get more information. We're hoping to have those to you in September. So that's an update there. We did have our first MLO meeting last week. I felt that went pretty well. We didn't have all of our members attend, unfortunately, but we have made contact, and I'm hopeful that they'll be involved in future meetings. That's been handed over to them as far as facilitation and scheduling. But I believe what we did in the meeting is reviewed kind of the history of the MLO. We looked at the ballot language so they understood what their role was, looked at the resolution, again, to just further understand the role. And so we'll see what they come up with, but I'm excited to see that in the works. And I believe that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Bradford?
I have a comment. I want to thank you for putting the graph together. I think as we go forward, that might be a helpful tool. At least I hope it's going to be a helpful tool, but thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. And that format works for you, as is?
Yeah, I'm going to have to wait to answer that and see how things go, so.
Okay. Thank you.
I actually had it down here to have you explain that graph a little bit more too, if you would.
Okay. So what I did with that graph is we wanted to see how we're doing in a comparison of prior years. So what I was able to pull is our cash flow for the last 2 years, determine what percentage of the budget had been utilized at each month, and then I compared that to our current cash flow this year. So the lines would represent the 2-year average, and then the bars represent our actual cash flow for this year.
And the only one I saw and that was pretty high was Mr. Knox in there for technology already on money spent, so I'm assuming that's to get the school year started with
Well, that, and I would
new
say
technology stuff and everything.
also keep in mind that we this year absorbed the 130 into the general fund as we work into transitioning into the Skyward accounting program. So we essentially took 2 budgets and combined it into one, so that is a little bit misleading on that one perhaps.
All right, we'll move on to report item E, Executive Director of Academic Services Report. Mr. Schmidt.
All right, good evening, members of the board. I did provide a written report, but I'm just going to kind of touch on a couple of highlights. First, just an update on focus areas for the school year. 3 main areas that we're focused on with regard to improving our academic effectiveness in the classroom. We've got some professional training from a variety of different folks, both from the curriculum providers as well as instructional coaching, executive coaching for principals, and also instructional coaching directly in the classroom for our math department. And I've described each one of those in more detail in your report. In addition, we are focused on providing more collaboration time for teachers this year, and it's working differently at different campuses. At the high school, they were able to create common planning periods for teachers so they can do more PLC and data meetings. At the elementary level, they'll still have grade level meetings in their buildings as well as grade level meetings across buildings on our PD days on Fridays. And so that's how we're working to address our issues of wanting to have more common planning, common assessments, and alignment across the district with our programming and our pacing. And so that's another area that we're focused on. And then the last piece of that is our instructional coaching in the classroom. This is something that principals are already doing. We're just continuing to try and refine that process and hopefully find more time to be able to be in classrooms more. Some of the coaching that principals are receiving from some of the groups that we're working with are in the areas of instructional coaching as well. So those are the 3 main focus areas for this year, and again, they're explained in greater detail in your packet. Just a quick update on data and assessment. The assessment calendar was provided to you all. The STAR assessment window opened yesterday for all campuses. Dibbles was scheduled to open next Monday. Reading coaches and principals at the elementary schools had asked to be able to move that back a week so that the baseline data was closer to the start of the school year instead of 2 weeks of instruction in. And so we were able to move the start of that window back to this week. And so Dibbles testing is also available for elementary schools to begin this week. One other note, Mr. Burris mentioned the CMAS and PSAT data. That is scheduled to be unembargoed at the state board meeting, which takes place over 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday of this meeting, of this week. So once that is unembargoed, we'll be able to share that information with the board publicly at the next meeting. That's all I have.
Any feedback on the collaboration time that the elementary teachers had between the buildings, like with all the second grade teachers, stuff like that?
Yeah, so we had one day during pre-service where they could collaborate together, and I think it was a little bit of a mixed result. I think we had a little bit better collaboration with our K2 group, and we're going to continue to work on that collaboration with our 3-5 group. I think some of it is just around making sure that we all have the same expectations for what that looks like. And so one of the things that I'm going to be doing is working with Dr. Romero to build out protocols for how our district PLC and data meetings need to be run. And then principals will, and assistant principals will work with their campus teams to make sure that they're meeting those targets.
Mr. Smith, I want to thank you for providing the assessment and data calendar. I think this is the first time that I've seen a calendar like this, and we had requested at some time in the past that this be done. So I'm thanking you for putting that together, and especially highlighting the dates when the board will have access to the data, or that it will be presented to the board. So I look forward to working through that calendar and seeing the data that you're gathering.
Well, and I will pass on that gratitude to Mr. Parr. He is the one that created that. I just shared it with you, so I can't take credit for it. But he took heed to your request, and he did create that before his departure.
All right, report F, Executive Director of ESS, Ms. Meagle.
Good evening, Board. I submitted my report, and I recognized that there was an attachment that was supposed to be with this also, related to the family and community engagement, which is the planning that I have going for each of those days. So I will get those to you in the for the next meeting. Did you have any other questions, or can I answer anything for you? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Meagle. All right, report G, board reports.
We had our first BOCES meeting last Wednesday evening for this fall. And as Mr. Burris already reported on that a little bit, but the form from the state basically to the BOCES asking a series of questions, but ultimately the final question is do you support Montezuma-Cortez to become their own AU? And it's just a yes or no answer, no explanation or anything, and it was marked yes and sent in. So a little bit of contention on some of the stuff there, but not too bad overall. So that is sent in. That was our first meeting. We have a new president of the BOCES board, is Kim Alexander from Dove Creek. So that was her first meeting. And then we had to elect a treasurer, which is now Rachel from Mencus, Rachel McCorder. Went through a lot of policies again, which we do a lot at the BOCES meetings. But the one big question that I had to bring tonight to everybody here, and I hope somebody can help us out with it, I was a little concerned when we go through all of our policies at BOCES, there's always policies that conflict with every individual district. So when we have a BOCES employee in our buildings, do they know our policies? Are they actually trained on that to know our policies and know when it comes to student achievement and things like that? That came up, it was a thought I had at the meeting there. I didn't ask BOCES this, but because they emphasize that they train their employees on their policies, but then when they're in our buildings, do they have to adhere to our policies, and do they actually know our policies? Anybody?
There you go. The short answer to that is, I know that BOCES allows travel time for their employees who live out of the city, which means that they don't necessarily report to work at the same time as our employees report to work. As far as the policies within the building, as they're there, they have to abide by our policies with whatever items that consists of. Any of the principals, do you sit down with BOCES and do any training about this is what your expectations are in the building? Or come to the microphone? Thank you, David.
I can't really address training them on policies. I haven't been here long enough to do that. But I did sit down with one of the BOCES employees this past week, but the week previous to this, and just talked about expectations regarding communications and how those should proceed. I thought it went pretty well, but there was a definite lack of understanding, I think, that existed.
Thank you. Ms. Meagle, as far as service time, you kind of dictate with them about service time, don't you?
Service time it's a team decision, as far as if you're talking about specifically with students. We negotiate the times that they're going to be working in our buildings and stuff. That's with BOCES, more with Brandy and Royce, that portion of it. As far as policies specific, it's more, this is the expected dress code, this is, when we meet, those types of things, but not the details of our policies, no.
Okay. Just as an example of, one that we just passed, six months ago, I think it was policy AC, right? Where we protected parental rights on that policy. BOCES would not have done that in their policy. They did on that particular policy because myself and Pagosa basically demanded that that was protected in there. But just as an example, a policy like that could really contradict with BOCES policy. And when their employees are in our buildings, they need to know that policy of ours. To me.
Do we provide BOCES with all of our, personally, like send them over instead of just having them look up our policies?
We do not. All of our policies are online, and
That's what I'm saying, like,
do not.
Do we recommend that they
We can do that.
see our policies or adhere to our policies? These are for you to get familiar with, type of a situation, just to bring it to their attention.
Yes. We have a meeting coming up with them next week.
I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll certainly mention that about the policies.
So, on the flip side of that, I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time I've ever heard that BOCES has policies. Are those policies available on their website?
Yes.
And because they are the AU, does that mean our district has to follow their policies, or whose policies take priority?
That's basically my question is, that on our campus, our policies would take priority. But that's, my concern is when you have a BOCES employee in a building, do they even know our policy? And if they do, which policy do they support? And I asked it there to Royce, and Royce assured me that they have to go by our school policy, but they don't know our school policies.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
All right.
We'll have that conversation.
I was going to say, we did recently have a well, I say recently, within the last maybe 4 or 5 months, had a conversation with Royce about it was more about the supervision of employees, and if there is an employee that's maybe not following a policy or they're outside of the bounds in some way, how that chain of command works. And during that conversation, we had come to the agreement that if it's a BOCES employee and they're out of line, then we escalate that through the BOCES chain of command and vice versa. So we did talk about it from an employee supervisory perspective.
Any other board reports at this time?
Oh, President Noyes, I just wanted to remind everyone that they are signed up for Thursday night's CASB regional meeting in Durango from 4:30 to 8:30. We have a ticket for you as well, Ms. Cheney, if you plan to attend, and that includes the executive team as well.
I like Casby's time better, though. It said 4:30 to 7:30.
What did I say?
4:30 to 8:30.
Oh, yeah, it is 7:30. I just caught that today. Thank you, Mr. Rice.
Madam President, I just wanted to let the board know I'll be traveling to the East Slope to attend the class-sponsored policy summit this weekend. So I look forward to that.
Okay. Thank you for attending that. All right, okay. All right, so we will move on to citizens address the board. 1 hour limit, 3 minutes each. Must turn in a filled out ticket prior to meeting. All right, Chris Crowley. And Chris, if I can ask you to turn on that mic when you come up here, I don't think it's been turned on yet. Thank you.
Is it on? It's on now?
Start your time over while we fix that.
Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3.
It's on.
Just gotta stand right next to it. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to speak today regarding students from outside of MCHS participating in activities not offered at the school they attend. Nikki and I have enjoyed watching and rooting for activities such as football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, volleyball, track and field, softball, soccer, golf, band, choir, and theater. Each of these activities has invited and benefited from participation from outside schools including Dove Creek, Dolores, Mancus, SWOS, Goal Academy, and numerous homeschools. Apparently, this policy has changed, at least in regard to our homeschool students participating in our music programs. Notices have been sent notifying students that if they are not enrolled at MCHS, that they may attend before and after school practices, but may not attend the classes that are tied to these activities, even if they pay the activities fee associated with the activity, and ask only to attend in order to gain practice time and benefit the whole band and choir, and even receiving 0 academic credit. How does this benefit the school, the music programs, or most importantly, these kids? The short answer is it does not. I predict that if these policies are left in place, our music programs will be hurt in the long run. Because after all, who really wants to come to something where the people in charge tell you that you can show up, but you're not truly welcome there? Is that student-based outcomes or adult-based? How much did our football and track programs benefit from Xander Cruzan attending Goal Academy? How much did our baseball program benefit from Seth Oakes and Darren Daves coming over from Mancus? And how much did our softball program benefit from Riley Hickman coming in from Dove Creek? Apparently, our athletes are more important than our musicians. I hope that in the end, the school and the school district will change this policy as it is currently being implemented, and for not only their own benefit, but that of the kids and our community.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, I've got Emily Hominski. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Emily Huminski, and I am here on behalf of the District Accountability Committee. I participate on the DAC as a community member. So the DAC has been confused about some recent communications about the DAC from the district. We received a letter from Board Chair Noyes and Superintendent Burris where it mentioned that you were going to change the membership composition of the DAC. We then saw that DAC protocols was listed on the August work session agenda and now a DAC resolution tonight for adoption. This has caused some confusion and concern because we have not heard directly from you about any of these changes or why they're happening. And in regards to the composition, we have been meeting all of the listed membership requirements in our board-approved bylaws and also have a recruitment and orientation plan for new members. So a question for you all is, within your idea of this updated composition, will you be directly appointing members? We have already set all of this upcoming year's meeting dates, and our meeting this month was never published, and we actually never got a response if we were meeting or not. But we had some important things to continue discussing and bring into this new school year. We had some really good momentum in working on the goals we set last year, like supporting teacher and coach recruitment and retention, student recognition, supporting the SACs, and we also had some really good momentum around gathering community input regarding the discussion of reorganizing the elementary schools. We just recently sent the report of all of the compiled information from the survey and those town halls that you conducted and that we conducted, and a lot of parents, teachers, community members took a lot of time out of their day to share their input and concerns and experiences with you all, and so we wanted to make sure that that input is shared in two ways. One, we wanted to make sure that it's shared with you so that you can be informed what the community is thinking in regards to that decision, and overwhelmingly we heard from the community that they are really concerned about that decision and strongly oppose it. We also heard that they're actually pretty concerned about student outcomes if that decision were to be passed. We'd also like that information to be shared back with the community for transparency around what they shared with you. Ultimately, the DAC is there to be a collaborator, to support you all, and really be the liaison between the SACs, parents, community, and yourselves. And we're really looking for more communication from you regarding this decision or regarding this change. And so we'd love for you to speak more to these changes, what they mean for us moving forward, and how we can continue working on the goals that we set last year, and to hopefully not lose the momentum and some of the really good things that have been happening with the DAC. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Okay, MB McAfee.
Good evening, everyone. I always feel very awkward when I first start talking. It seems like there's a lot going on that I want to talk about. I'm going to say very briefly, I've talked about this with Mr. Lynch and with Superintendent Burris. There is more than editing to be done on your strategic plan. I mean, you need some core beliefs, you need a vision statement, you need a mission statement, and then you can get in.
Wow.
Oh, I don't think I did that. No, okay. Anyway, eventually you can get into the minute goals that Dr. Romero presented the other night. But really, there's so much more than just editing that needs to be done with a strategic plan. The next thing I want to point out to you is a timeline. Rhonda Tracy was elected to the board in November of 2023 for a 4-year term. At the end of the meeting last month in July, she resigned right at the end of the meeting. You have yet to accept her resignation. As I read policy, she is still a member of the board until her resignation is accepted. Meanwhile, I look on the employment list and I see that she has been hired as a human resource specialist, probably the beginning of August. I made that assumption, I don't know that for sure. Nevertheless, as you all know, you can't be a district employee and a member of the board. And as I see it, as Rhonda is tonight, she is a member of the board and a district employee, and that's not legal. So something has to be done about that, and my hunch is that when Mr. Lynch wanted to pull the employment list out from the consent calendar, you may be going to talk about this. I surely hope that you do talk about it because it seems like a very glaring error. And then I wanted to say one thing about DAC. I'm not a member of DAC. I have not been to a DAC meeting, but I did hear the previous speaker, Emily Huminski, ask you to please talk about DAC. So please, in the discussion time after this, please talk about this decision that has come that looks like DAC's being completely reshaped. Also, please talk about Rhonda Tracy's position. So I've given you 2 good items to talk about in your discussion time. Thank you.
Thank you, MB. Rebecca Busick?
Hello? Does it sound all right? Yeah. Okay. Public education runs deep in myself and my family history. I was born the daughter of 2 public school teachers and the granddaughter of a superintendent. To this day, if you go to Kent City High School in Kent City, Michigan, you can visit the James R. Ward Memorial Football Field, named after my grandfather, who had the foresight to buy land for a portion of what it was worth. The land is where the football field is located today. I grew up around school teachers who could do cool and innovative things in their classrooms. Where I grew up, you could be school teachers, have 2 children, a summer cabin on the lake in the Upper Peninsula, help your children pay for college, and have a good retirement. My dad was the president of his teachers union, a driver's ed teacher, and a girls basketball coach. My mom was a middle school teacher who loved, and I mean really loved, the oddities that are middle schoolers. I moved to Montezuma County 21 years ago. When we built our house out in the county with a Dolores address, we assumed we were in the Dolores School District. I suppose because we didn't have kids at the time, it didn't concern us enough to actually look. We were wrong. We are in the Cortez School District. Our son was born in 2022. Our son started full-time preschool this year, and we're driving him to Teddy Bear Preschool in Dolores, and are currently looking to buy a house in the Dolores School District, in part because of this school board and administration. To someone who loves and deeply believes in public schools, the action this board has taken in the past and are currently taking are an abomination. Why it took until tonight to announce that District A would be up for election, I don't understand. Petitions are due in 10 days. What of District C? This school board, administration, and legal counsel have politicized our school. They have put the education of our students in jeopardy. They have abused and neglected their second most valuable assets, their teachers. I believe schools are the most valuable organization a community has, and what is happening in the Cortez RE-1 school district is nothing short of a tragedy of the highest degree.
Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, moving on to board discussions. Item 8. So where do we want to start? We have Are you guys wanting to start discussions? Oh.
Yeah, we went through that just a little while ago. It's we're trying for a better representation from all of the schools.
Mr. Burris?
We're trying for better representation from all of the schools. I got it, I can do the teacher voice. We want the SACs to be set up, and then each one of the SACs, the school accountability teams, to then select somebody onto the DAC. That's really the impetus of it. Get a representation from across the board.
I feel like the DAC is, our biggest advocate for and bridge with the communications with the community, and it seems like we should be communicating far more proactively with them rather than being surprised by something like this coming up on the agenda. How is that method of communication normally handled?
Jim Parr handled the DAC through his tenure here. He worked with the DAC. The items to be discussed through the DAC are in statute and also in policy from CDE. Some of those we did very well, and some of those I think could have been improved upon. The issue with student outcomes, student achievement, whatever you want to call it, was one of the things that I had really hoped that they had gotten into more. Also, the parent inclusion in the school system. There were ideas of hiring somebody to do that, but there was never any job description or what are the needs. And one of the places that I went with SOAR is that system where we will text parents if their child is missing a homework assignment, and then they will get a text when the child turns in the assignment. It's a communication method that my friend Porter Cottrell used at a school of 1,000 kids and had over 100,000 contacts during the school year. So that was one of the ideas to improve the student and parent communication in the school district, and I was really hoping that would be a DAC priority.
And can you elaborate on students not being able to participate in band as a activity?
They can certainly participate in band as an activity, like they can participate in football as an activity. All of the activities that Mr. Crowley mentioned, they're open. That's regulated by CHASA. CHASA says if they don't offer the activity in the school where you go, then you're eligible to go to a school that's a neighboring school and be involved in that activity. And the question is not whether they can be involved. The question is really with kids who want to take classes also, if they're involved in a homeschool, then homeschool students are eligible to take 2 classes or 3, and we get a half PPR for those kids who do that. But an online school is a PPR school, and so they get their own PPR, so consequently they are not eligible for the curricular classes during the school day, but they still fall under the CHASA and the Colorado Bandmasters, and they are eligible for the extracurricular activities. And by statute, if we have and you know this well from drama, there's a participation fee. By statute, we can charge 150% of our participation fee for kids from another, I call them a PPR school. With homeschool, because we do get a PPR with those kids, they pay the same participation fee. Does that make it? Does that get you there?
The fees doesn't make any sense to me, but...
Okay, forget the fee conversation then.
I guess I can track the rest of that, yeah.
Yeah. Football's got a participation fee, for example. I don't know what it is. Jennifer, do you know what the... $70? So, little Paul, who's going to play center for football, has to pay a $70 participation fee. But Tom from a online school who's participating through CHSA rules, I'll pay a $110 participation fee. Try to recapture some of the wear and tear on our equipment. And not to confuse it, but a homeschool kid pays the same participation fee because we do claim a PPR with those kids.
And you said they can take homeschool kids can take a class,
Yeah.
band, but an online school kid could not because they're being counted as PPE elsewhere.
Their PPR counted somewhere else. Had the discussion with Mark Knox several times about like Goal Academy. If they go to school, if they were to go to school at our school for 2 periods, we won't get anything from that. Goal will capture the entire PPR.
But they're still entitled to participate in the after-school
Yes,
activities.
sir. Absolutely.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in regard to sports, there's no issue because it's all outside of the school day.
Right.
Marching band is a peculiarity in regard to these rules because the marching band practices during school time with the songs, but they go out and practice on the field for their marching.
Right.
And so it's like, it's a unique situation, and it's unfortunate that we're in that predicament. I don't know what the answer is, but it's a hard decision.
I've checked into CHSA rules and the Colorado Bandmasters, and they're the same.
I would just like to talk a little bit about what MB mentioned about the strategic plan. We are still in the editing processes of going over that, and so that's not completely approved and completed yet. So we are working on that. And then we do have a resignation, accepting the resignation on our action item tonight for District C. So the DAC, I don't know what more we want to talk about. DAC, what's that? Okay. Okay.
I guess I'd like to know, is that going to be something that's appointed, or are those all volunteer positions, the DAC?
They will be selected from each one of the schools, from their SACs.
Select, so the school will select them, not the board or administration?
No, you don't do it.
So by no means,
We don't
we're not
select
stacking any decks,
No,
right? Okay.
no. No. Mike, do you have anything else that you need to say?
So does anybody know what's coming next? For parents and students in the district, for all staff in the district, I'd like to encourage you to join the conversation to improve reading proficiency in our district, and beginning by listening to the podcast miniseries Sold a Story at soldastory.org. It can trigger emotions, so you might have to split it up into several different times. Anyway, I'm encouraged by hearing that some people, including staff and board members, have listened to that. I think it helps us all in conversations about how we improve reading in our district, and I hope it will help spur improvement in our reading in our district.
Do you have anything?
I think we need to address that timeline as far as Rhonda's. We're going to talk about that, I guess. Is that what we're pulling out of consent?
I don't know why that was, I don't know what your thoughts were behind pulling out the monthly employment list for an action item on its own, but
Since it's an action item, I'll save my comments
Yeah.
for the
Okay, so
discussion.
let's talk about that then. Okay. Something else along with, that's on the consent, but since we don't talk about it in the consent, there's a request for an out-of-state travel for middle school football to go to Blanding, I think it was. Somewhere along the lines, we used to have where, since we live right here in the Four Corners, if it was less than 75 miles, I thought, we didn't have to do out-of-state travel stuff. And I think that was driven also by insurance, that they covered it if it was less than
Madam
75 miles.
President, I'm going to call a point of order. The consent calendar is not available for discussion. If an item on the consent calendar should be discussed, it should be pulled off the calendar. The whole idea behind a consent calendar is the things on the list are things that are expected not to need discussion, they're not controversial, and everyone can vote yes. That's why it's called a consent agenda. And so I would urge that we do not try and discuss things unless we have pulled them off the consent calendar.
okay, noted, yes. Thank you. Okay. Okay, moving on to discussion item B, policy for information IKF, class of 2021, graduation requirements, IKF, class of 2029, graduation requirements, IKF-E-1, class of 2021, GR options, IKF-E-1, class of 2029, GR options, INDAB instructions, IJNDAB instruction through online courses, GBGH sick leave bank, GBGHR sick leave bank, JICJ student use of cell phones and other personal devices. So I did notice on the sick leave bank there was an inconsistency in the actual policy and then the actual
Regulation?
yeah, regulation, the regulation. So I would just kind of like to bring that to the attention that one is stating less than 100 days and the other one is stating less than 200 days. So we need to make those align with each other.
So, Madam President, these policies have been submitted to the board from the Policy Advisory Committee, and that committee is no longer involved with them. It's up to the board now to make any amendments that are necessary, and I thank you for spotting what we missed. And since tonight is information only, we can't make amendments, but at the first reading or the second reading, those amendments can be made.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments, questions, changes, or something to visit out? Okay.
What triggered the need to revise these policies, Mike?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
What triggered the need to make these revisions?
Good question.
Well,
I'm not
we did make some
prepared.
changes to our graduation requirements, is for the graduation ones.
Yeah, down through IKF-E-1, those were triggered by the high school administration regarding graduation requirements,
So does
as well as IJNDAB. The GBGH and GBGH-R were triggered by administration in the district, which found a difference between the handbook I believe the problem was the difference between the handbook and these policies, which needed to be aligned.
Sort of
GIS
handbooks now dictate policy? That's
beg your
kind of what
pardon?
it feels like.
I beg your pardon?
It feels like handbook changes are now dictating policy.
I would disagree with that.
Okay.
JICJ is a cell phone policy, and that's been, that has come up in conversations for about, I'm going to guess about a year. And the schools and districts across the country are making these policies. If I remember correctly, in Colorado, we have, according to law that was passed recently, we have until, I believe it's next summer, to have this policy in place, and we're doing that now with this policy. I think that covers them all.
Yep, I believe so. All right, moving on to action items. Action item A, consent calendar. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
I second.
Online voting is now available. Ms. Cheney, do you see your online vote?
It'll pop up. There you go.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to accept the resignation of Board Member District C?
I'd like to accept the resignation of Board Member District C.
I'll second it.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, can I please get a motion to accept the resolution to declare a vacancy in District C?
I'll move to accept the resolution to declare a vacancy in District C.
I second it.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. We are at action item D, officer appointment for treasurer. We will need a motion to appoint somebody as treasurer.
I move to appoint Leland as treasurer.
I'll second it.
Leland, do you accept that?
I accept.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
A vote's not necessary on that, so I'm just going to mark that one out.
Okay, action item E, District Advisory Committee DAC resolution. Can I get a motion to approve that?
I'd like to make a motion to accept District Advisory Committee resolution.
I'll second it.
As I can tell, the composition of DAC and SAC is dictated by the state statutes. So what is this resolution actually doing for us? How is this making any change?
It's ensuring we have representation from all of the schools. Adequate representation. Some of the same people that are on DAC may be returning to the DAC through their schools.
Online voting is now available. Ms. Cheney, you do have to vote. You can't abstain on that one. We'll let you change it.
Up in the right corner where it changed vote, that little red area, if you click on that.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Action item F, the Lohr Foundation Grant for MCHS Engineering/STEM Program Technology and Supplies for $25,000.
I move to accept the Lohr Foundation grant for MCHS Engineering, STEM, and Technology Supplies.
I'll second it.
Madam President, I've got some questions.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
So when I was looking at my packet, I did not see any documents with this item, so I was confused as to what is being asked for here. Is this a request to apply for a grant, or is this a request to accept a grant?
Yes, please.
Tall. It is to accept a grant, and we hired a new teacher this year and started a new program, but he has very limited tools and supplies to run a program, and so this will be used to buy drones, robotics type equipment, things for the kids to be using hands-on materials, so it is to accept the grant. We have a lot of the paperwork and all of the proposal for what equipment it entails. I could send to you, if that would help.
What normally comes before the board on these Lohr Foundation grants is a Lohr Foundation grant agreement, and I see none with this packet.
Well, do we not, I see one.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
not
in
have
there.
one attached to yours?
My assistant principal has been in charge of this one, so I'm helping out, but
Okay,
he had
so
the
I can
paperwork.
see it now.
Okay,
It
good.
was not there when I was reviewing the packet before this meeting.
Okay.
That attachment was available on Monday, the 11th, as uploaded by Ms. Bradford.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
And I wanted to add too, I was reviewing policies and policy DD. It does say that anyone wanting to apply for a grant should complete that form. So we have just started that. I think it's been overlooked in the past, so I apologize if there was confusion there. That sort of came after the fact, but we would like that to be presented to you each time that someone is looking for a grant request.
Yeah, so if it was in our packets on Monday the 11th and I was not able to see it, I think something needs to be looked at in regard to my access to the packets, because I looked as late as, I think, Friday and could not see anything with that. So there's an issue somewhere. The other comment on discussion of this item is the Laura Foundation grant agreements are all the same. They all contain toxic language in regard to work product. And typically work product is not an issue, but it can be an issue with computers, anything that can be programmed. And there's both computers, iPads, potentially robotics and controllers, which appear to me to be programmable items. And so I have a concern about that grant agreement in regard to many things listed on this request.
Ms. Boniface, do you know if the program has any intent to make commercial product? Okay, I don't think it's an issue then.
Not an issue until it is.
Yep, please do.
If it would help, we could put some writing signatures in place with the instructor, maybe even with the students and parents, that these products will only be used for instruction and possible licensure with the drones. I'd be happy to put together something like that, if it would help.
It would help me, maybe, it would help me for sure to have that, to have the issue I'm raising put aside in whatever form that takes, and I'd be happy to work with you or with your staff to come up with an idea to solve that.
I think we'd be happy to do that.
Online voting's now available. Motion passes 5-1.
Right, can I get a motion to approve the capital reserve request for 2025-2026 maintenance service truck for $83,642?
I move to accept the maintenance, or the capital reserve request for the maintenance service truck.
I'd like to accept that. Second it.
So I assume that since this is being bought somewhere else and stuff, these companies are the ones that only service, is that correct?
Yes. Yes, he had one with an engine that went out in it, so this is the replacement for that, I believe.
Online voting's now available. Motion passes 5-1.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the capital reserve request 2025-2026, the gas boy management system for $41,906.73.
I'll move to accept the capital reserve request for the Gas Boy Islander fuel management system for $41,906.73.
And I second it.
Eddie, can you speak to this request? Has something happened with an existing asset that this is a replacement to, or what is the purpose of this one?
Yes, sir. It's a conversion to a key card system for fueling that identifies each driver. Also, some of the charter schools that fuel there. We were on the honor system before, and this is going to make it more secure.
Excellent, thank you.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, action item I, the policy second reading, JBAA, preserving fairness and safety in sports.
I'm going to accept policy JBAA for second reading.
I second it.
Madam President, just
Yes, sir.
a couple of comments. This policy was adopted by the board under the emergency or urgent method or pathway for adopting a policy, but under that method, we need to ratify it before, I think it's 90 days or whatever. So the vote we take tonight basically seals this as a policy going forward as well.
Thank you for that, Mike.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, our last action item, oh, I'm sorry, next to last. Action item J, the Montezuma County Clerk Election Intergovernmental Agreement.
I move to accept the Montezuma County Clerk Election Intergovernmental Agreement.
I'll second it.
Online voting is now available. Mr. Lynch, you recorded an abstain?
No, not on purpose.
What would you like your vote to be? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, moving to our last action item K, the monthly employment list that was removed from the consent calendar.
So,
We need a
We
motion.
need a
Madam-
motion first.
Motion.
I move to accept the monthly employment list.
second it.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
So, one of the concerns that I have, and it's a board responsibility in regard to new hires, employing people in the district. According to state statute, the board has the say in those matters, and so as a result of that, I've been working with the administration to get additional information over and above the list in order to make sure that I personally don't have any issues with people that are being hired for instructional purposes. And it's been very helpful in this particular case. The list was not out at the time of the board packets, and I did not have the opportunity before Friday to get that information. So I was not able to learn more about the instructional staff that is being hired, and so I would like additional time to do that. And so what I would propose is to amend the motion such that we remove six of the instructional positions, and I can name them by people if necessary, but it's basically the 3 teachers, the counselor, and the 2 long-term subs. Remove them from the list and put them on next month's list in order to give me time to see more information. And that would be my amendment, is to remove those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions from this monthly employee update and put them on next month's. And so in order for this to happen, my motion would need a second, and we would vote on that first and then vote on the main motion.
Would that mean we're
think
left
that's what
with
I'm-
vacant positions there and no instructors in class?
I beg your pardon?
Wouldn't that mean we'd be left with vacant positions and no instructors for those kids in those classes?
Mr. Burris, do you want to answer that?
This is one of the anomalies of Cortez or Colorado. We hire people, we put them to work, and they are not officially employees until the board votes on it. So these people that are on this would continue to work, and they would draw a paycheck, and they would be in front of kids, but their official employment would be held off a month.
And is there any detriment to them for doing that, just because we didn't have their name on a list in time for a board meeting?
The only detriment that I could see with it is if they quit, if they abandon their job, we can hold them to a 30-day stay in place or work on taking their license. If you have this, if you don't have a formal action in place, I believe they could just walk out the door and say, see ya. Other than that, I don't see detriments.
Okay, well, I was just going to ask, this is the first time that I think this has come up, so I didn't know if this was something that, how you go about it, if that's the way to go about it, if that's the right procedure. So.
I don't like pulling them out of there, personally. I just don't like that message at all from that.
So before we discuss the amendment of motion, the motion to amend we need to have a second, and there is no second. If there is no second, the motion falls to the floor and it is not voted on. So if, but we need a second in order to discuss it.
I'll second it then, just to get it for discussion.
So before making the motion to amend, I explained what I was doing. And the reason I'm doing it is because I'm very concerned about our culture and climate going forward. And so there are certain things that raise a red flag. And that's why I'm trying to spend more attention on understanding who our district is hiring for the positions that will affect students most directly than any other position in the district. And so all I'm asking is for the board to give me some extra time to do that work, and it typically does not amount to any changes because things usually look pretty good, so I don't anticipate any changes to the list as a result of more information, but it could happen.
Does this mean that we are in fact then in charge of hiring decisions? Because that was always, the impression was always given to me that that was an administration control and not in board purview.
It's their control, but our ultimate responsibility.
Our approval.
So, and the law says we cannot delegate that responsibility, not even to the superintendent. So we rely on the superintendent to take care of all those things and make them happen, but the board has the ultimate say in whether, for instance, in whether somebody gets hired. So for instance, if there was somebody on this list that you know is a bad actor, you have the ability to make sure that person does not get hired by our district. If you can convince the entire board of your concern, because it takes a board to make a decision. You can't make the decision on your own. But it is definitely within the board's purview to approve, and therefore our responsibility lies in that ability to approve the hires.
Okay.
Did I say that right, Ms. Burris?
Yes, sir.
I'm ready.
Okay, yep, we're ready, done.
So we're voting on the amendment.
Okay.
Online voting's now available. Read through it, make sure you approve of it. Motion passes 5-1.
Actually, it wasn't
Okay.
So,
Yes, so now we're voting on,
so now we're voting on the main motion, which is been amended to remove those 6 people. And the main motion is to adopt this employment list, monthly employment list. And so everybody that is remaining on the list will be approved after this vote, probably.
Mr. Rice, do you remember who, you made the original motion?
He did. And then Leland.
Leland, you seconded that? Okay, board docs erased that for some reason. Online voting's now available. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:45.